Okay. 36b, Lamed Vav Beis. The Mishnah says that a mincha sota and the mincha of a nizira, a woman, after she finishes her Nazaritehood, she has to make certain karbanos. One of them is a mincha. It has to be waived. Amalei Reb Lezer, Reb Yoshia, the Dorei. Reb Lezer said to Reb Yoshia of his generation, Lo seisav karoch adamatli lo shmaitzo. Don't sit where you stand until you explain to me this halachic statement. Where do we see that the meal offering of the sota requires waving? The nolan, the gufaksiv. What kind of question is? It's explicit in the pasuk. It says in the pasuk regarding the mincha sota, you wave the mincha, you wave the meal offering. How do we know that in addition to the Kohen's participation, the one who brings the korban, they must be involved in the waving, meaning the sota itself must be involved in the waving. Asya yad yad mishlomim. We have Gzera Shava. It says yad by shlom, it says yad by sota, as the Gemara will quote the psukim. So as we find with one that the one who brings the korban is involved in the waving, so here also she's involved in the waving. Sifhocho v'lokach Kohen miyado isha. The Kohen takes the mincha from the hand of the woman. It says yad. Uchsif hosam is by korban shlomim. Yodev tfiyenu. He will bring it with his hand, which is over there speaking about also. It's speaking about tenufa. Matkan Kohen. Just as over here, by the sota, we see the Kohen is involved. Aflalon Kohen. Although there's no mention of Kohen by the shlomim, it's only the owner, he waves it. But just as over here, the Kohen participates in the waving. Here also by the sota, the Kohen. There also by the shlomim, the Kohen participates in the waving. Ma'alalam bailim. Just as by shlomim, the owner does the waving. Afkan bailim. Here also the woman, by the sota, she's also involved in the waving. Okay, tzad. So how do they both? So we have the Kohen and the one who brings the korban. They both participate in the waving. We'll see simultaneously. Kohen machdus yodo tachas yara bailim. The Kohen puts his hand under the hand of the one who brings the korban. Umenif, and waves. So they wave it together. Ashkechon sota, so we find, based on the Gzera Shava, yad yad, that is the basis for the sota to wave the korban. Because I learned, just as by the shlomim, the owner waves it, since it's her korban, she also participates in the waving. Nazirim in Olan. What about the woman who, she finishes her Nazir period? She brings a mincha. How do we know that the mincha has to be waved? Ashi kaf kaf risota. Of course, it's kaf yodo, and there it says kaf. So we again, it's the Gzera Shava. What is the basis? What is the basis? To explain what is the source that these are the exceptions.
That the woman would wave together with the Kohen.
No, that the woman has. The pasuk doesn't mention a word about the woman waving. It only mentions the Kohen. No, by sota it only mentions the Kohen's waving. It doesn't mention that she waves. And he says that you learn from Shlomim. By Shlomim it only mentions that the one who brings the Shlomim waves. It doesn't mention the Kohen. So yad yad, Gzera Shava tells us what is applied. One applies to the other. What? Without the Gzera Shava, there's no basis for it.
He didn't know that the Gzera Shava.
I mean, no. He knew the halacha. What is the source? What is the source of the halacha? Correct. No. You see, these are only exceptions, because these psukim must be are stated by the woman, the nazira and the sota. Okay, we'll get there.
The Kohen is not contaminated by touching the hand of the sota.
Why the woman's contaminated? Where is she contaminated?
Woman.
That's a separate. How does he touch her hand?
Yes.
So we'll see Tosas. We'll see Tosas in a minute. There's a more basic question. What about chatzitza? Right, because he's going to cite a Gemara. Right? If the halach is you have to touch the mincha when you wave it, right? Or the kli shoris, the vessel that the mincha is in when you wave it. So if the Kohen is touching the hand of the person, whoever, let's talk about it's a man. A man brings, he waves it. Same thing, you have the Kohen's participation by the Shlomim. So the Kohen, is the Kohen waving the Shlomim? He's not touching the Shlomim? The Bailing, the owner is touching the Shlomim. Right? We'll see Tosus. Let's see Tosus. Machnis Kohen Yodo Tachas Yad HaBailing. Umenif. The Kohen puts his hand under the hand of the owner one of the korban, and he waves. Vim Tomo Havi Chatzitza. Right? It's a Chatzitza. I mean, Tosa's question is difficult.
What does that mean exactly?
If a woman goes to the mikveh and she has some kind of adhesion on her body, it's called a chatzitza. There's something separating between the water and her flesh. So if the Torah says the Kohen has to wave, means the Kohen has to be in touch. Physically has to touch the mincha or the shlomim. So if he's touching, his hand is under the hand of the one who's bringing the korban, so the hand is separating between his hand and the korban that he should be touching. There's a separation. There's something separating between his hand and what he should be touching. That's Tosa's question. Now, the Gemara says in Zvachim, he cites a Gemara, which we have to understand. The Gemara says, let's talk easy. The Gemara says in Sukkah that you have Daldid Minim, right? You have the Lulav, you have the Adasim, and you have the Arovos. Now, what is the lulav? The lulav is what? The leaves that are attached to the lulav. What happens if some of the leaves, when you hold them all together, they become detached? The leaves, the outer leaves of the lulav become detached. So if that's the case, you're not holding the lulav. There's something separating between your hand and the lulav. Because the leaves that become detached from the lulav, that they're called palm leaves, then it's not the lulav itself, because it's been detached.
Talking about all of them, or
No, some of the outer leaves. Some of them are. So the Gemara says that since it's the same species as the lulav, as long as the same species, min b'minei nechotzetz. That's the Gemara. The Gemara says there's a machlokes there's a Mishnah in Bechoros. The Mishnah says, the Torah says that if you have the firstborn of a kosher species, right, domesticated animal, what is it? It's called Peter Rechem. It's a Bechor. It's the firstborn. It's naturally consecrated, right? It's Kodosh. What happens if you have the animal gives birth for the first time to twins? Right? And they both come out, so it's a machlok Rabbi Yossi and Chachamim. Do we say Efshel Tzamsei, be Efshel Tzamsei? Do we say, we know no two things happen simultaneously? It's not reality. But since visually it looks like it happens simultaneously, do we say we go after what it appears to be, and therefore they're both Bechorim? They're both? Or do we say no, only one is, and each one's a Safek Bechor? Each one's a question, because we don't know which one came out first. So what do? So the halacha is you have to wait till it gets a mum, because one of them is consecrated. So you wait till it becomes blemished, and you give both of them to the Kohen. Whatever it is, you give one to the Kohen, both of them to the Kohen. So Tosei says a question, according to Rabbi Yossi, even if you say Efshel Tzamsei, that they both came out simultaneously, you evaluate it based on the perception, and you say they both came out simultaneously, but it has to be Peter Rechem. Peter Rechem means it has to touch both sides of the womb. It's not touching the twin is actually separating between itself and the other side of the womb. So why are they both Bechorim? That's Tos's question. What?
And neither of them should be.
Neither should be. Neither should be a Bechor, because neither is touching the whole womb. That's Tos's question. Tos's answer is min b'mino nechotzetz. Min b'mino, because since it's the same species, they're both calves, so therefore that's not called a chatzitza. Similar to the Gemara in Sukkah. Min b'mino nechotzetz. Gemara is a shayla in Zvachim that a Kohen, when he officiates, if he wears a shoe, it's not valid. Why? Because it's a chatzitza. Because he has to be barefoot, and his foot, his sole has to touch the floor of the sanctuary when he officiates. Right? He's not permitted even to wear a sock. So the Gemara has a question, what about if he puts one foot on top of the other? Let's say when he sprinkles the blood, see, he's not wearing anything, but one foot is on top of the other, so his one foot is separating between his other foot and the floor. is it a valid avoda? Right?
Sounds like it would be.
Wait, Gemara says, in terms of chatzitza, it's not a chatzitza, of course, but ain't there sheres bekach. The Torah says v'sheres, he has to officiate. Since this is not normally the way you officiate, you stand, you have both feet on the ground. You fish person doesn't officiate, one foot's on top of the other foot. Therefore, it's not a valid avoda. Not because it's a chatzitza, because it's not called v'sheres. It's not der sheres bekach. Because again, we say midbevino is not chotzeitz. So Tosa asks a question. The Torah says the Kohen has to be mainif, has to be in touch with the korban, and the one who brings the korban has to be in touch with the korban. But if the Kohen's hand is under the person who's bringing the korban's hand, it's chatzitza. What's the question? But we'll see. Tosa is going to quote a Gemara that we see over there.
It sounds like that's part of the procedure, though. So it's part of the.
No, you give me an answer. You give me an answer. I'm asking on the question, right? That's going to be Tosa's answer, what you're answering, because Tosa says that's the way it's done.
Yeah.
That's why it's not a problem. But I'm asking on the question. What's the issue with chatzitza? It's midbemino.
Right.
That's my question.
Right.
Right? You're not answering my question.
Right.
Okay, so good. Let's see Tosa's.
In Bimino is not, you're having two separate animals, even in the case of other tosos, as opposed to your foot and your body, it's the same thing. So you can treat them just because they're saying, you're just saying because they're two cows? I mean,
Because they're two calves, that's called midbemino, therefore it's not a chatzitza. That's why they're both bechorim. According to Rabbi Yossi, that it's actually, I'm saying that
Right.
you base it upon the way it's perceived. It looks like they came out simultaneously, therefore they're both bechorim.
it sounds like that's a huge fetish as opposed to...
I'm not
filling on
coming
with
to
your skin.
explain to understand Rabbi Yossi. Tosa says, even if factually, I'll accept what you're saying, but factually, one calf is interfering with the other calf and touching the full womb. That's not a problem, because maybe it ain't a chotzeitz. The Gemara says explicitly, what about the person's own body, right? You put one foot on top of the other. It's a human being. So what? What you say, no Rishon says. Now, there was a story, Reb Moshe, somebody had written Reb Moshe something, he was very proud of himself. It's a Rav that he learned a certain shach in Choshen Mishpat. And a very novel insight in the shach, he writes to Reb Moshe. And based on that, he wants to rule a certain way. So Reb Moshe writes back to him, he says, the shach that you're quoting, I studied it 186 times, that shach. And the 186 times I learned it, your understanding never even entered my mind. You understand what that means? That means it has no basis. What you're saying, no Rishon or Achron says. Okay?
So according to Rabbi Yossi, I could wear my tefillin and someone would stick their hand there and be Yossi. There's no chatzitza.
You're asking a good question. Never, it has nothing to do with Rabbi Yossi. It has nothing to do with Rabbi Yossi. It's chatzitza. Has no Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says they're both bechorim. Rabbi Yossi doesn't discuss chatzitza. That's Tosa's question, not Rabbi Yossi. Right?
The Ruby's question, actually, the tool would be on the hand. You see it on the hand, not on the
See, there it's different. Okay. See, when you have two calves being born simultaneously, that's the birth process. It says you should wear tefillin on your head. It's not on your head. Tefillin is on your hand. Right? It's similar to the Kohen officiating where he has one foot on top of the other foot. That's not the way you wear tefillin. So if so, that's not called beinei necho. Okay. It's a question that has to be answered. Seemingly, we'll see. Seemingly, if the Kohen has to wave and he has to be in touch with the mincha, so there's an interruption between his hand and the mincha. What does that mean? Let's say you have multiple people bring a korban. You can have multiple people bringing the shlomim. So you have to wave the shlomim. So do we say, so waving is an obligation in every one of the owners. So whoever has a percentage in the shlomim, he has to wave it. So Mara says, ain't truf b'chovrin. Partners don't wave it. Pirish, b'shutfim, So this is a Gemara. Te'echi levid, linfu v'oda linfu. Maybe each one takes his turn. You have 5 partners. Each one takes his turn. Each one waves it independently of the other. Klomar, tashutun zeach zeyonifu, chad tenufam rachman of shtei tenufos. It says the carbon has to be waved once, not more than once. So if they have to wave it multiple times, that's not called the waving, which Torah is discussing. Vi mona chad min ashutun yodi tachas yodi dechabre. Here, so the Gemara says, let one partner put his hand under the other partner's hand. Similar to what we're discussing here. Im ken have a chatzitza. Okay, see what the Gemara says, and that's not possible. So therefore, if they're partners, the law of tenufa has no relevance. It's not possible to do tenufa. To do it consecutively, you only wave it once, and to do it simultaneously, it's a chatzitza because one person's hand is interrupting with the other person's hand. Maybe you could. Almo, the b'chai gavno, havi chatzitza. So just as partners, one can't put his hand under the other because it's a chatzitza. So over here, in regard to the coin with the owner of the animal, it's a chatzitza. He puts his hand under it. The Yishlama de Lodami. So the answer, they're not comparable. The 2 cases are not comparable. Why? The hocha hainu time glav chatzitza b'chai gavna. The reason why it's not chatzitza here, if he shugzer sakos the bina koin ubalim. That if both waving means one has to be under the other, so automatically it means he cannot touch it. He doesn't have to touch it. Normally, what does waving mean? You're supposed to touch it. The Torah says you bring a shlami, you're supposed to. The one who brings it, his hand has to be in direct contact with the shlami. So if you have multiple partners, it's not possible. But over here, if the Torah says you have to have a kohen and the owner, they have to wave it simultaneously. So what does the Torah say? It's not a problem. That means the kohen doesn't have to touch it. He has to be involved in the waving process, although his hand is not touching the shlomim. That's what the Torah is saying. Same thing, the sota. In addition to her waving, the kohen has to wave simultaneously. So evidently it's clear. His hand doesn't have to touch the mincha. Aval hosam gabi shnei shutim choshev chay gab nechatzitzo. Emechod be'niach mehem iniach yodo tachs yad chavero. V'she'enu gzer sa'kosov sh'shnei manifim. Torah doesn't say both of them should wave it. It says when you bring that, you wave. It happens to be the partners. But it's a problem.
If there's 20 people who are partners to a small house, you can designate one person to waive it, or to waive it all partners.
That's a machlok Shoshoni. That's a machlok Shoshoni. See, it's good. This is what Moshe brought up. If it's a mitzvah shebegufo, right? Meaning it's only the partner only the owner could waive it. That means it's something that can't be delegated. So they can't. Others learn when the Torah says you should waive the carbon, you have to be directly involved. You have to be directly involved with the carbon. So we say, wait. So 20 people, 2 people cannot waive it, right? Because his hand is not directly in contact with the carbon. But if the halacha is the Torah said it has to be waived, so how do you work it out? That it's equivalent that every person's hand is in contact with the carbon, you point to shliach. That one person is the equivalent of many. That's the way some Rishonim learned the Gemara there. Doesn't mean say therefore you don't waive it. Just the opposite. That clearly tells you it's not a mitzvah shebegufo. Because to do it consecutively, you only waive it once. To do it simultaneously, it's a chatzitza. But the carbon has to be waived. So evidently, you point to shliach. So the one is the equivalent of the many. That's the way they explain it. That was my original question. How do you reconcile that Gemara with all these other Gemaras? That made the minos not chotzetz. I think it's what Avrami asked me. Person puts tefillin, he wants to put his hand between the tefillin and his head. You can say, well, it's mid the min ain't a chotzetz, right? It's the hand and the head. It's part of the same body, so it shouldn't be a chatzitza. Torah says that you have to wear the tefillin on your head. See, the Gemara over there is speaking about something else. The Torah says, the animal that opens the womb of its mother is a bechor, as long as nothing's blocking, right? What happens if the womb is so wide that the animal only touches one side? It's not a problem, because there's nothing blocking. There's no interference between the calf and the other side of the womb, right? Even doesn't physically touch the side of the womb. Doesn't have to physically touch the womb. Here, the tefillin have to be on the head, right? So if that's the case, it's a problem. So it's the same thing over here. If the Torah says your hand has to touch the basket, which holds the mincha, or the klisharis that holds the mincha, it's not. It's midbebina nechotzes. What is that? It has nothing to do with it. That's similar to over there. So evidently, it understands when Torah says you have to. Physically, you have to be in touch with what you're waving, and you're not in touch with what you're waving. Therefore, the Gemara says chatzitza. Oh, good. Okay, because I'm going to do another answer to Tosis. O.J. Shlomer, another possible answer. Now Tosis says something else. The ochanami lo mayri shakoi miniach es yodo tachsiara balamam. It's changing the whole scenario here. When it says he puts his hand under the hand of the owner, doesn't mean physically his hand is touching his hand. It means it's a lower location. The Chaygavne v'chatzitza, he says factually, if the hand would be touching the hand, it's a problem. Elo ratzlom she'oches akli lamato, the Kohen holds the vessel on the bottom of the vessel. I mean, location-wise, it's lower down. That's what it means, underneath. The owner holds it from the side of the kli, higher up, and the Kohen is holding the vessel from the bottom. We find bikurim are also waved. Bikurim, chaga bikurim. The Kohen would hold the edge of the basket. And the one who bring the bikurim as the gift to the Kohen, he'd be holding the basket from the bottom. And that's called, they're both hochanami gabi menochos ipcho. So by the bikurim, the Kohen, he's higher up. The owner is holding it from the bottom. Here it's just to the opposite. Ipcha shiara balim tia lamalo. The owner is holding from further higher up. The yara Kohen lamato, and the Kohen is holding it from beneath.
That's an obvious answer, though. It's obvious.
No, we're just questions. What does it mean? It says
They're
yad
both
Kohen.
holding it at the same time. That's what they're saying.
Okay, it's Kohen martus yodo tachas yara balim. Literally means he puts his hand under the hand of the owner. Under means it's beneath it, right? You see from the Yerushalmi, Tosis over there in Menachos cites Yerushalmi, not this way, because the Gemara asks a question. It's what Rabbi touched upon. How does he touch the woman's hand? No, but the Yerushalmi asks the question. So Yerushalmi answers, either we're talking about Kohen Zoking, he's a very old Kohen. So again, so therefore we're not concerned he's going to have any thoughts. So you see from the Yerushalmi clearly, it understands what it means. Tachas yad means literally, physically touching. Then the Gemara says, maybe they put a cloth between his hand and the woman's hand. It's the Yerushalmi, but that can't be. That's chatzitza. That's definitely a chatzitza. So remember, Rashi Zefraim once said, in Germany, it was a custom. It was an old question. It was a famous story about that they would Shabbos, the congregants would come, they would kiss the hand of the Rav, especially by Sephardim. They kiss the hand of the rabbi. So women would kiss the hand. So the rabbi would wear a glove. And they would kiss his hand, but he was wearing a glove. It's not his flesh. And they cited Yerushalmi, said it's not a problem as long as there's that. There it's a problem. It's a chatzitza. But here it's not a chatzitza, and that's what they would do.